hard to just be open to dialogue, to be open to not trying to impress somebody. Like, just let the flow be the flow.
Right.
You know, it's not about saying the right things or doing the right things. It's about being yourself at some point. So once you become great at being yourself, then you'll attract the energies that also enjoy you being yourself. And that's when you talk about meaningful connections, meaningful networks, meaningful relationships. Because if you're walking around as a representative, you're just going to meet a bunch of other representatives. You know, you have to take that veil off. And when you do that, then you'll be able to forge better friendships. So this isn't just a relationship. You'll be able to forge better friendships, better relationships, better business partnerships.
Right.
And sexually, better connections.
Yes, and it all leads up to that whole sexual thing. Like, it so irks when you're able to be sexually compatible with somebody, but then when you're not having sex, you can't relate to shit.
Yeah, that's rough.
Like, that's so hard.
That's
and
rough.
A lot of times we find ourselves in relationships being with somebody longer than we actually should be in an actual relationship, because we find ourselves being drawn to that feeling of connecting with them sexually and being fulfilled. So we settle.
Well, is it really fulfillment?
I mean, I feel like it's fulfillment to an extent. It's a fulfillment in the sexual aspect of it. And then it kind of frustrates the shit out of me too, because I'm like, if you can fulfill me in these ways sexually, then what's stopping the disconnect from you fulfilling me in all aspects of, you know, our interaction or our connection with one another? But it begs a question. Is it always that sexual connection is supposed to transfer to that you know, to the outside, or can a person just feel like that's the only way they can really connect with somebody? Like, how do you feel about that?
At some point, you have to understand the difference between personal interest in someone, the mental aspect, and lust versus want to conquer someone. Now, those things can tie into each other. Sometimes we want to conquer, and it could be taken as this, oh my God, like, that's so aggressive. Like, what do you mean conquer me?
Right.
Conquer you. Like, I want to have this conversation, lead to more conversation, lead to dinner dates, lead to the movies, lead to sexual experiences after that. And I want that whole journey to be enjoyable.
Right.
You know, so if you can learn or discern the difference between just being interested in somebody, and it's old school for their mind versus their body.
Right.
And there can definitely be the initial part can definitely cross over. You can have a great initial first conversation that's just about all those basic questions you ask, like, what do you do? Where are you from? What do you enjoy? What are your pet peeves? What do you like? What don't you like?
Right.
But that week later, that month later, are we able to have other conversations that establish that this is something deeper than just that shallow shit? If you can get past that shallow shit, then you definitely have something that you can return to after you done busted that nut. After you done had that orgasm.
I can't stand when people do the whole like, they recognize shallow very early.
Yeah.
And they recognize that person is not. And when I say shallow doesn't necessarily mean that that person in and of themselves is shallow. It just means that the connection that y'all have, you require a little more than that person is willing to give.
You have to be honest at the beginning. Well, when it comes to being honest, what is too honest? Because there's a lot of times you may meet a person and you like the shallow in them. You're not trying to have a deep conversation.
That's true.
Like, you like the fact they kind of gullible.
Right.
You enjoy the fact they a little innocent. Like, we ain't gonna have no deep conversation, but it's fun being around this.
That's true.
So is that a conversation that needs to be had? Like, it's almost like you have to set boundaries for each person you meet. But is it worth being honest and being like, okay, for you, it's really just going to be a physical attraction. This is going to be a fuck buddy situation. For you, like, I just want to go out and just have fun. Like, I don't want it to become anything deep with us. And then for the ones that are deep, like, I want us to take our time. That sounds good and it sounds great being that honest, but from a man to a woman, does that work? Especially if you're feeling something different from that initial conversation or the first date. Do you want us to be that honest, or would you rather us kind of figure it along during that journey?
I mean, for me, I think it's important that, just be honest. Like, just be honest with what you feel, because I think we don't like to hurt people's feelings.
We don't.
And because we don't like to hurt people's feelings, we find ourselves in a situation where we're like, go back out of it for me. That stitcher out, as a whole, and then go back in.
No problem.
I feel like as people, we find ourselves knowing that we don't, we're not quite connected with that person yet on that level, but it's not that we don't want to continue exploring the connection.
Yeah.
But if they come to you and they're like, oh my God, I'm so into you, I like ABCXYZ about you, I definitely want to explore going further, and you're a little hesitant there, like, it's okay to be like, you know what, I'm not quite, there yet. But just saying I'm just not there yet is not saying that, I'm totally dismissing you.
Yeah, some things have to build.